With the Bazaar set to come out later this year, there are some things I think it absolutely needs to get right, or it might just end up dead on arrival.
You should know, I'm a bit of a legend on Pelago.
Hi, I'm Artificer or Greg, and this is kind of the home of all Bazaar-related content at the moment. So if you're excited for the game and want some more Bazaar content, definitely hit that subscribe button because, well, this is where you're going to get it. Now, I am not a game designer, although I do work in the game publishing space. These are just going to be my opinions, and they're just my sort of personal ideas about what the game might need going forward. And I'm by no means absolutely correct, just some humble thoughts from myself. Anyway, with that done, let's jump into number one. The number one thing I think this game will need, and that most games in this sort of free-to-play market need, is some sort of progression system. You want people to feel like they are accomplishing things and continue to put time and effort into the game. Just getting better, just climbing a ranked ladder isn't really enough anymore. This is something like that games like Artifact, for example, a game that was near and dear to my heart, failed on massively. They had very little progression at all, and you just didn't have that extra bit of motivation to queue that one more game. You're like, okay, I don't need to queue another game, it's fine, I'm done for the day. I'll go on and play this other game where I do have progression, I do feel like I'm advancing. Obviously, you can unlock shiny things. Everyone loves a progression battle pass. That's why battle passes have taken off. You know, you can clearly see this sort of sense of moving forward, of getting stronger, getting better, getting more things. I was very recently reminded of a game that I absolutely loved playing called Omega Strikers. If you haven't heard or played of it, it's like a MOBA, like air hockey game. It was a bit of a flash in the pan. It absolutely skyrocketed in its first month and then crashed and burned. One of the many reasons that game kind of failed. It did have a battle pass, it did have a progression system, but it was extremely slow, and there was only really one thing to do. You could progress in your battle pass, and that battle pass was there for like 3 months or something. There was no other progression systems there for you to play with other than your ranked ladder. There were some hero progression systems, but they were very, very, very short. So yeah, basically short-lived progression also is something you've got to be careful of. Longer stinted progression, so progression that takes you a long time to achieve, is absolutely critical for keeping people around and keeping people playing. In our very own Discord server, which you're extremely welcome to join, we have like a level ranking system thing. It's just based off of how much you talk and how much time you spend in the community. Some people are extremely close to the top. But funnily enough, even though this community has been here for like 5 years waiting for the game to be here, no one has reached the top level yet. I set it at an astronomical height because we need that long sense of progression. Once you've reached the very top of something, you don't have that sort of drive to continue to push for more anymore. And it's entirely subconscious. No one's going into my Bazaar Discord thinking, haha, I'm going to level up today, type. It just helps subconsciously keep people feeling like they're motivated and they're progressing forwards, and it helps create just a generally healthier game state. So what do I want for the Bazaar? Battle Pass, absolutely. Keep it fresh though, keep new ones coming out if people are completing them fast. Hero progression and hero levels or mastery or whatever you want to call it, give me a big stinking fat number next to my hero that says what level on that hero I am. If you want to sort of keep the rewards short or make it very quick to pick up any rewards that are tied to that, then just give me an infinite scaling number. You know, I don't need to necessarily get rewards after I'm level 10 Pygmalion already, but I want to be able to keep climbing that ladder. I want to be able to show off how high on Pygmalion's ladder I can get. Just an example. Obviously, I'm going to be playing Jules, not Pygmalion. But yeah, hero progression, battle pass, any other types of progression they can put into the game. I'm here for all of it. Number 2 might seem like a bit of a strange one, but I'm going to go with unique mechanics. You say, well, Artificer and or Greg, we already have Joy, we already have Altitude with Stel, we have the core with Dooley. What do you mean you need unique mechanics? I mean, we haven't seen the game in like 2 years. February 2022 was the last gameplay we have. That was well over 2 years ago now. I want to make sure that they haven't dumbed down the game since they said farewell to some of their designers. I want to make sure that we have distinct classes that have their own unique feel, so that no matter who you are or how you like to play the game, when you come to the Bazaar, there's a hero there for you. And that also means future heroes, as we launch the game and look down the pipeline to what may be coming, we can clearly see that they have unique playstyles and that we know they work because we've seen unique playstyles in the base game. Don't get me wrong, let Pygmalion and let Vanessa be the chill sort of standard, you know, Pygmalion's the big tanky guy and Vanessa's the sharpy, stabby, shooty, whatever. Give us some more interesting stuff with the other ones. That's it's something they were already planning to do, just please tell me they continued with it. And we're continuing the trend. Number 3 is also something that they have at least mentioned in the past, but again, this is my wish list of things that I absolutely want to be in the final version of the game, so please allow this to be limited access to a meta, or to meta items or builds or whatever it ends up being. In short, I want to make sure that if there is a particular build that is extremely strong, let's say that truffles are the build, right? Pygmalion, truffles. If you get truffles, you win the game. Make specific items, or at least make the runs up in such a way that specific items are extremely hard to nail down. Yes, you may see truffles at some point during your run, and if you do them, you do buy it, grab it, go, right? But just have the events be so varied in number, or set up in a particular way that it's extremely difficult to just force a meta build. Forcing meta builds in these types of games kind of suck the fun out of them. There's a reason why I stopped playing TFT. There's a reason why I stopped playing Battlegrounds. Metas do evolve in these, and metas are absolutely a good thing. Don't get me wrong. We can have another long discussion about this some other day, but having metas in those sorts of games are great for people that want to aspire to heights and don't necessarily want to have to force themselves to think constantly about new builds and what things are doing in every single run. Sometimes you just want to click play and click on the items you know are good and have some success, right? That's not going to be your 10 win run masterpiece. Wow, it's hard to say that. I'm going to have to get used to that one. Hopefully. I hope I'm going to have to get used to saying 10 win run, but you'll at least see some success with it. But I just don't want the opposite to be true, or not quite the opposite, but I don't want you to be able to sit there mindlessly and just click on the big important items that you know are strong in the meta and win everything, right? We want the Bazaar to be this place where you have to be thinking on your feet. You might not get every item you want. You might have to pivot entirely midway through an entirely different build. That's going to be the sort of core fun element of the deck builder at heart, which is what they wanted the Bazaar to be in the first place, right? That is the origin of the Bazaar, the core of the Bazaar. And I hope that that remains true, and I hope that it's sort of baked in so that once we do get our hands on the game and geniuses can start figuring out what the meta is, we don't just see those meta builds everywhere. Number 4 is a bit of a strange pick. Not many people would say that this is absolutely vital to a game's success, but I genuinely think it is a factor. It's not the biggest factor, but it is absolutely there, and that's some sort of immersive lore. Now, my key example here will be Artifact. It almost always is. If you don't know, we used to run a massive Artifact channel way back in the day. Artifact's lore, I think, was done in a particularly bad way. Artifact's lore was... They invested a lot of time into the lore. That's a good thing. How they ended up showing us that was in these large sweeping comics and, you know, long printed text and blog posts and all this other stuff. And while those are okay, that didn't really help me feel too immersed when playing the game. There was a campaign game mode that was pretty good for it, and that's the sort of thing that I would like to lean into for the Bazaar. We've already seen through the trailer and such that there are some phenomenal voice lines.
You should know, I'm a bit of a legend on Pelago.
You know, I may be a legend, especially on Pelago, or I am a legend. Whatever the Vanessa voice line is, very, very cool. There's some really, really, really cool voice lines. The voice acting is insane in the Bazaar so far. I want to see more of that. I want to, every time we visit a merchant, be greeted by them in their own specific way. Maybe they reference something that gives us a little bit more information. Just these tiny little tidbits. I don't want, you know, massive comics that we have to read. I just want that almost MMORPG feel where you actually feel like you're going through the Bazaar. You're meeting these wonderful, flavorful characters. They're interacting with you. Something I actually love. And this is how Dota, which is the MOBA I play the most of, Dota does these particular voice lines, and I think many other games do this too. if a particular couple of characters are on screen at the same time, they may say a special voice line, right? I would love nothing more than if JJ saw Dooley, like if you come to JJ as Dooley, JJ has a voice line that occasionally plays that references, you know, maybe JJ says, "I'm sorry I tried to sell you that pair of boots," right? Because in the trailer, JJ tries to sell Dooley boots and Dooley's a robot with a wheel. He doesn't have feet. Like tiny little tidbits like that, those are what really help you immerse yourself in the game. And I think will keep sort of playtime longer. And playtime longer means more people in the game, means more, hopefully, more money going into the game and a better, more successful game in general. Last but certainly not least, limited or no at all day one marketplace or blockchain integration or whatever the hell that is. Now, the team have said multiple times it's not a, you know, this isn't a cryptocurrency game, this isn't a blockchain game, blah, 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 blah. They've said that many, 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 many times. Some of their investors, I wanted to say some of their biggest investors, we don't know shit about who's invested in what or like the whole grand scheme of things. Some of the investment they have found is somewhat tenuously linked at least to Web3 and blockchain, crypto, etc. Right? It wouldn't surprise me, given that some of the investors have already tried to sue just because the Bazaar hasn't come out yet, that other investors would be pressuring them to have some sort of integration of some sorts. Now, it also wouldn't surprise me if Tempo hit back and said, "Hey, you invested in this, if we do well, you do well. Web3 currently ain't doing too good in the gaming sphere, so how about we say no?" That would be cool. That's kind of what I'm hoping happens. However, again, they might be pushed, they might be getting pushed. If they get pushed, just don't do it day one. Bring it out later once everyone understands how the game works and people are loving the game. People that, like your loudest haters, will play day one, maybe play day two, and by day three, they're currently just watching Twitch streamers and being loud in Twitch streamers' channels. They're not playing anymore. By month two, they're watching a different Twitch streamer. They have no interaction with the Bazaar anymore. That's when you can start experimenting with stuff, right? When those loud voices are gone, they might come back and shout a little bit, but they won't be super active. The Bazaar will receive less negative press for it. It'll still get negative press if they do anything of the sort, but it'll find slightly more receptive ears at least. Just don't destroy this game on launch by throwing a bunch of Web3 at it. I don't think it's going to happen. I personally believe that there will be none, at least to start with. But man, I really hope so. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this content and want more Bazaar content, obviously drop a subscribe, and the algorithm's going to suggest some other stuff you might want to watch.